Hello everyone, I'm Megan Sullivan and welcome to my full review of Triangle Strategy, a turn-based strategy RPG developed by Square Enix for the Nintendo Switch. After spending around 50 hours with the game, the credits have rolled, at least for the first playthrough, and I can now tell you everything I loved and didn't love about this game. In Triangle Strategy, you play as Serenoa, the mild-mannered son of a powerful duke forced to navigate the tricky Game of Thrones-esque politics unfolding on the continent of Norzelia, where for 30 years an uneasy peace has held between three nations once at war over the valuable commodity of salt. This peace is shattered, however, when an underhanded political maneuver goes terribly wrong, and the three nations of Esfrost, Hyzent, and Glenbrook are once again dragged into a bloody conflict. It's up to Serenoa to lead the people of Glenbrook through the conflict and hopefully come out the other side intact. To do so, he'll need to gather information, converse with his closest advisors, and make tough decisions that will alter the course of Norzelia's history. In short, gameplay isn't just about turn-based combat. A large portion of it comes down to talking, listening, and reading up on the history of Norzelia. By the way, there's a lot of information and changing factions to keep track of, which is why I appreciate that during every conversation, you can bring up the speaker's character portrait and review who they are, who they're aligned with, and how they're related to other people in the game. The menu system where a lot of this information is stored is also helpful because it's clean and easy to navigate. Now, gathering information and chatting with NPCs may strike some players as tedious, but I enjoyed it because it's all part of the strategy in Triangle Strategy. What you do off the battlefield is just as important as what you do on the battlefield. And that's because which characters join your party, who leaves your party, and how the story plays out are all based on major decisions you make throughout the course of the game, which in turn are influenced by not only the answers you give people when asked crucial questions, but other actions like meeting certain conditions on the battlefield, and even what supplies you buy for allies. Everything you do in Triangle Strategy, and I mean everything, is tied to one of three guiding principles: liberty, morality, and utility. And I found it both slightly annoying and kind of fascinating that I was never 100% sure where I stood on any given issue, or how my comrades would feel about my opinions on various matters, because the game doesn't tell you which answers and which actions align with which principle. You only get to find out what your convictions look like after you start New Game Plus. In the meantime, the game only hints at where you stand, which meant I had to think very carefully about everything I did because every action led me to strengthening one of those three convictions. And these convictions become especially important when Serenoa is asked to make an important decision about where his allies go and what they do, which will not only lead to different story paths, but even different battlefields. And what amazes me about Triangle Strategy, and might be its most intriguing feature, is that I wasn't the only one who got a say in these matters. Before any major decision, Serenoa and his closest advisors will take a vote by using a magical item known as the Scales of Conviction, which meant even if I wanted to go one way, my own party members could override me with a majority vote in the opposite direction. Now, I admit it wasn't that hard to get my allies to see things my way, thanks to the information I wisely gathered beforehand from books and conversations. See how all that talking and reading ties in? This in turn unlocks additional dialogue options that can help sway a character to your side. But I did notice as the story progressed, the choices got increasingly difficult to choose from, i.e. there were no happy, peaceful options, and allies stubbornly clung to their opinions, which I kind of liked. There may not be a lot of depth when it comes to the story, but juggling different convictions and trying to balance different alliances gives Triangle Strategy some nice breadth. And it was fun to follow one story branch and then occasionally backtrack to see what happens if I choose a different path. I just wish the characters were as interesting as the geopolitics they have to deal with. We only get tantalizing glimpses of each character's past and personality via flashbacks and side stories, whether they're a main character or an NPC who likes your convictions and decides to join your group. None of them are that memorable, and the shoddy voice acting doesn't help.
Out with it, Benedict! I heard you were beset by brigands. Is the young lord safe?
And yes, the game has Japanese audio available, but it's very tropey. Ah well, at least the audio is solid and the music, which is a mix of soaring combat compositions and charming village ditties, is good, as are the graphics. No, I'll be honest, I'm not quite as enamored with the graphics as I was when I was playing the demo. Don't get me wrong, I still really like them. HD 2D is a great compromise between ye olde SNES graphics and the visual fidelity we've come to expect in the 21st century. And I was impressed with the dynamic environments, the size of buildings, the light and shadow effects, and even the quirky character animations. Having said that, there's a constant blurriness to the graphics that I just couldn't seem to get rid of, even when I changed the settings and toggled between handheld and docked mode. I'm not sure what this blurriness is about, but it was definitely noticeable and even distracting at times. Hopefully, Square Enix can fix this at some point. Or if you know a solution, please, by all means, let everyone know in the comments below. Okay, so we talked about the story and characters and how your decisions off the battlefield can affect both. Now let's talk about the other thing that makes Triangle Strategy so much fun to play, which is what you do on the battlefield. I love the combat in Triangle Strategy. It's challenging, actually very challenging, but also fun and rewarding if you play wisely. Like Fire Emblem and Final Fantasy Tactics, the combat consists of a turn-based grid system, but this system not only incorporates things like terrain, general unit placement, unit order, which conveniently you can see at the bottom of the screen, and the use of unique character abilities to exploit enemy weaknesses, it goes deeper by allowing you to combine different actions for maximum effect. Like stringing water and lightning attacks together to electrocute a wide swath of enemies, or spilling oil on the ground and then lighting it on fire. You can also put together a more powerful attack by placing allies on higher elevation, which gives them a strength advantage, and using a backstab maneuver, which guarantees a critical hit, to make short work of the enemy. You can even catch opponents in a pincer so your comrades can perform back-to-back blows. There's just so many different strategic options available, and these options only increase as allies join your cause and bring their own unique attributes to the battlefield. Favorite battle units include Piccoletta, who is able to create a decoy of herself that will not only distract enemies but even attack them, Lionel, whose inciting whispers ability can charm an enemy into changing sides, and Jens, who can build ladders that let your characters access hard-to-reach places in a hurry. I love mixing and matching different character attributes to pull off clever combat maneuvers and lead my team to victory. Speaking of which, I appreciate that whenever I pulled off a clever combat maneuver, I was rewarded with kudos, a special kind of currency you can use to purchase rare items and a limited set of powerful effects that can turn the tide of battle. These effects include the ability to swap characters in the middle of a fight, restore their health, or even allow them to warp around the map. By the way, the AI in this game is pretty smart, and even on easier difficulty settings, your party can get wiped if you're not paying attention. So I appreciate all the little features that help me out in combat, like a responsive camera that I could fully swing around to see all the available spaces in a fight, and the color-coded squares that tell you which enemy and ally units are within range of each other. And if things go south, a quick save feature allows me to start a battle over at a crucial moment, and multiple manual save slots let me save my progress and come back later. Now, not every battle in Triangle Strategy is won by carefully placing your troops and taking advantage of the terrain. There's a few neat things you can do to improve your team off the battlefield, and they're delightfully strategic as well. Aside from spending kudo points, whenever you're in a feature called Encampment Mode, you can participate in mock battles to earn more experience, abilities, and coin, as well as learn how to properly fight in certain terrain and under certain conditions. You can also promote an ally's job class to increase their stats, buy health and attack items, and visit the blacksmith to upgrade your weapons and unlock a string of weapon abilities. Since resources are precious and unlocked abilities can be learned in any order, I like that I had to think carefully about who I powered up and which weapon upgrades to prioritize before going into battle. And I love how everything that involves strategy in Triangle Strategy comes in threes. Job classes have 3 levels of expertise, weapons have 3 ranks, the conviction system has 3 categories, and the story involves 3 nations. In short, there's obviously a lot of thoughtful mechanics that went into the development of this game, and I definitely enjoyed my time with it. The characters and story could use a little more depth, and the voice acting could definitely be better, but the enjoyable combat and opportunity to affect the narrative in different ways and experience different battlefields makes Triangle Strategy fun to play. So if you're looking for a game that encompasses ye olde Final Fantasy Tactics with something a smidge unique, I recommend getting this game. And that's it for this review of Triangle Strategy. What do you think of the game? Do you like it? Hate it? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you later.